right, thanks, Dave. As a part of this RTP effort, SJTPO worked to update the project evaluation process. Our previous process was many years old, and we wanted to incorporate the RTP goals, current state and federal priorities, as well as recent SJTPO efforts. It's important to note that this process will take effect with the next call for projects for our Transportation Improvement Program, or TIP, which will begin later this year. In general, it incorporates two core elements: a pre-evaluation process as projects come in, and a scoring process to prioritize projects that move forward. The pre-evaluation process looks at the beginning to assess if there are reasonable ways to make projects better and work with communities to make improvements by addressing safety, especially where there are crash problems, ensuring that problems fit the location, such as including complete streets elements as appropriate, including all users in the design, focusing on freight to ensure that projects enable economic development, determining if and how we can fund them, and measuring the air quality impact to ensure the project may move forward. The scoring process looks at the final candidates, and when the funding will not cover all the projects, determines which one should move forward. So this directly includes each of the RTP planning goals that were discussed here. It also addresses federal performance-based planning target areas to ensure that we're keeping up with federal targets that are designed to ensure that dollars are spent wisely and can measure their benefit, and assess how projects measure against each other's regional priorities. This is conducted by SJTPO staff with input and oversight by the Technical Advisory Committee and the Policy Board. So this is really where the rubber meets the road in implementing the goals that Dave just talked about. So now Dave will talk again about the financial plan.
Okay, thank you, Alan. So the financial plan is one of the major components of the RTP 2050. It addresses how proposed projects and programs in the region are funded. By federal law, the Regional Transportation Plan must be fiscally constrained, meaning that we must demonstrate that there is adequate funding to operate and maintain the existing system and implement capital improvements included in the plan. The TIP, which includes projects that are funded and already programmed, goes from FY 2020 through FY 2029. Now, on the right of this slide is a pie chart depicting the mix of project types in the TIP. Next slide, please. So this slide is a snapshot showing the total amount of federal aid and state funds and how it was allocated to the SJTPO region in FY 2020. As you can see, the funds to the SJTPO region are allocated through a number of federal programs for both roadway projects, as indicated on the left-hand column, and rail projects, as indicated on the right. Of these programs, SJTPO only has discretion of only a handful of projects, and they are highlighted in the dark blue on this left-hand column. These programs are all described more fully in the plan. In FY 2020, the SJTPO region received federal funds totaling about $80.3 million via New Jersey DOT for roadway projects and $15.2 million via New Jersey Transit for railway projects, and these are highlighted in yellow in the upper left. The SJTPO region also receives money from the state via the New Jersey Transportation Trust Fund. In FY 2020, this was about $39.1 million via New Jersey DOT and $16.9 million via New Jersey Transit. And these figures are highlighted in the lower left in the green. Next slide, please. In meeting fiscal constraint, we had to project future revenue. One of the methods that the Federal Highway Administration has suggested to forecast revenue is to use historical trends to project revenue to arrive at future revenue estimates. As such, to get projected funding assumptions, we applied a growth rate based on the historical trend of New Jersey DOT and New Jersey Transit funds distributed to all three New Jersey MPOs from FY 2004 to FY 2019. And that's what's depicted on this slide. Next slide, please. Using this historical growth rate in funds that you just saw on the previous slide, we projected SJTPO funding available in millions of dollars from FY 2030 through FY 2050. The funds from FY 2020 through 2029 are already programmed from the FY 2020 through 2029 TIP. The total projected funding over the next 30 years sums up to just about $5 billion.